Hi,
Hello.
what's going on?
Not much.
I see you still have a face.
I do.
You woke up here again today.
Yep.
Of all the places in all the cosmos, here you are.
Yep.
How do you feel about that?
I would say no complaints, but I have plenty of complaints. Just, at least I'm alive.
You're alive?
I'm alive. I'm not living, but I'm alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're living, yeah?
Yep. Surviving.
It's not very hard, is it?
Not really.
Amazingly, it's not very hard to survive.
No.
And I think that one of the things that I've been going through is I have a tendency to spill myself in ways that are very powerful, and I get myself into thinking traps. And they're very powerful traps.
Mm-hmm.
And we all do it.
Yeah.
We all do it. But I'm trying to be intentional with it, obviously. I'm trying to. So anyway, what I said was, what I come up with is, because I'm trying to think of ways to, like, throughout human existence, we've all been through some stuff.
Yes.
That caused scars physically on our hearts, heartache,
Physical,
pain,
emotional,
suffering.
spiritual, yeah.
We've been through abuse, we've been through experiences, and
As you like to say, life is a trauma response.
well, yes. So here's a caveat to that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Don't choke.
So when I ask you, can you name some trauma? Because I'm going to do something. I'm going to try to.
Okay.
I'm going to try to persuade everyone to use a different vernacular, a different dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
As you understand it now, can you explain to me what a trauma response is? Number one, start there. How would you classify, as of right now, what is a trauma response?
A trauma response.
Not an example, just yet. Or you can give an example of a trauma response.
Well,
Might be easier.
actually, it's basically a trauma response is I don't know how to put it.
Well, what would be an example of a trauma response?
Flinching when somebody raises their hand.
Oh, okay. Very good example. Now, what we just established was an example of a trauma, what we're classifying as a response, is someone flinching. Response. Someone flinching when someone raises their hand real fast.
Yes.
Okay? Now, I think that is wrong. I think we have it completely backwards, and I think that it needs to change.
Okay.
And here's what I mean. Did the person voluntarily flinch? Now, what is the difference? Did the person voluntarily flinch when someone raised their hand? Did they do it on purpose? If it's what you classify as a trauma response, and you do this and they flinch, did they do it intentionally?
No.
Therefore, it cannot be a response. It has to be a trauma result reaction.
Okay, I see where you're going.
See where I'm going with that?
I see where you're going.
Now, I'm going to stop right there, and you tell me how changing the vernacular of a trauma reaction, because now let me ask you this. I'm going to stop right there, and I'm going to let you elaborate, because I think you know exactly where it's going and how important it is for that change to happen. I want to see what you get just from that itself. I can go on, but...
So, if we're talking about reactions, that is a learned behavior. So, how do we unlearn that behavior, right? Is that what you're trying to do?
I think it's involuntary.
Okay.
Well, now I'd say, let me ask you this. What is the difference between a reaction and a response? Clarify those two.
A reaction is involuntary.
Involuntary.
Yeah, involuntary.
Okay.
Whereas a response is you think about it and
right.
you do it just because.
Excellent. So, having that clarified,
Okay.
and also having clarified the involuntarily flinch is now what we're calling it is a trauma reaction, right?
Yep.
A trauma resulted action, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that's established. And what other trauma resulted reactions also happen? What used to be formerly known as trauma responses, now we're going to call them trauma resulted reactions. Trauma reactions. Name some other trauma reactions now.
Ooh.
Reactions. Trauma results. Flinching.
There's flinching. Lashing out is
Lashing
one of
out.
them.
Good one. Lashing out is a trauma reaction. Yep.
Going silent.
Yes, going silent is a trauma reaction.
So there's the fight, flight, freeze are all reactions. But they are also responses, depending on the scenario.
Well, yeah, you are correct. I do agree with that. But I'm talking more specific. So fight is the lashing out,
Mm-hmm.
or somebody scares you and your natural reaction is to just throw a fist, because some people do.
Yeah.
Some people freeze, and some people run.
Yes.
Right? Some people just scream and stay silent, or some people just go quiet. So there's multiple different reactions to trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And would you agree that some trauma reactions are, say, fear of driving? I had an accident, now I can't get in a car. Or
Yeah.
I had a bad experience in an elevator, I can't get in an elevator. You know?
Yeah.
So those are reactions to trauma. I got bit by a dog, I don't like dogs. Right? Now,
Yes.
okay, so we've clearly redefined, restructured the verbiage of what trauma results are.
Yes.
Because a reaction and a response is a result. The difference being the trauma reaction is the involuntary action, is the involuntary reaction, right?
Yeah.
It's just involuntary. Okay? I hear a loud noise, I involuntarily and duck in the fetal and start crying because I think I'm going to get blown up. For some people, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest, right?
Yeah.
Now, if that is now the trauma response, and I want to drive that into people's heads.
Reaction.
Trauma reaction. Yeah, right. Good. Now we're changing it. Good. So if that is the trauma reaction, okay, if the trauma reaction is when I'm still driving down the road and I see a garbage on the side of the road, I go to the other side of the road because I'm still thinking right there, oh my God, there's a bomb in there, or it could be. That's a reaction, right?
Mm.
Well, that's also obviously a response because that's you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also,
More
things that trigger
the
flashbacks. Things that trigger flashbacks is a reaction. All right, that is not a response. A response is voluntary.
Mm-hmm.
A reaction is involuntary. So, as we use the term, oh, that's a trauma, such and such, oversharing is a trauma response. No. Oversharing is a trauma reaction. It's a reaction.
You can turn it into a response.
Now, and then we say we want to heal from all of this. So if we're constantly saying that, oh, my oversharing or my ADD is a trauma response, and you claim to have no control over it, that is not a response. And you're lying to yourself, and you can't heal because the vernacular is wrong, because words mean things, right? So if we say, how do you know, and here's the thing is, how do you know when you've healed from something?
When you can tell the difference between response and reaction.
When you can voluntarily respond to something instead of react. Exactly. You know the difference, and you can do it voluntarily. I can voluntarily respond instead of react. Mm-hmm. That's how you know you're healed or healing. The frequency is less, the intensity is less, and the duration of it is less. Right? So how do you know you're actually... So I am saying, I'm proposing that what does a trauma response look like? Response. We know what trauma reactions now. Now it's a reaction, not a trauma response, but now it's a reaction. The trauma reaction is involuntarily, blah, 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 and we know how it goes. Everybody's screwed up. We wind up in jail and fighting and yelling with people and kicking things and breaking doors and whatnot. Doing...
Okay,
so what is a trauma response?
Are you asking me to get an example?
Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am. As I hoist myself upon my own prideful petard. Look at me, I'm a genius.
So a trauma response.
We're changing the vernacular, Shelby. We're changing the whole dialogue of the whole mental health system. We're changing the dialogue as we speak. What is a trauma response? In other words, how do you know you are responding instead of reaction? How do you know?
Slower. It
can be ugly to start. We're just hashing it out.
Yeah,
this is all brand new.
Yeah.
Let it be messy right now.
You're not reacting as fast. You're not springing into defense, or you're not springing into that action that you used to do. You are, okay, do I need to do that before going into doing it?
Can we say choosing what to do next?
Yes, choosing what to do next.
Same stimulus, intentional, intentional, I can't use the word response. Intentional. The next step is intentional. The same stimulus, loud noise, car door slams, dog barks, same stimulus. You see an elevator, same stimulus.
Different
movements, different actions, involuntary, intentional next step. Is that fair enough?
Yes.
Intentional
next step.
Mm-hmm. Or intentional ignoring the thing altogether because it simply doesn't bother you anymore.
Less frequent. Mm-hmm. How you know you're healing is the action becomes less frequent.
Reaction, yeah.
Yeah, the reaction becomes less frequent. So you're acting and not reacting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So what are some of the so that's a difference between a trauma reaction, because I think well-intentioned, by the way, that's what I should be doing here. Well-intentioned, right?
Yes.
But a response, how I say a trauma response is greater discernment, taking the pause, using the pause. You know what I mean?
Yes.
A trauma response is seeing how things can work out. A trauma response is putting your seatbelt on. Let's face it, seatbelts are a trauma response. The trauma reaction is, the response is, well, it's a big seatbelt, so it makes it harder for people to fly out the window. Life itself, everything in existence, especially safety features, is all due to trauma.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Now, whether it's a response or a reaction is on you.
Yeah, but also a trauma response is greater discernment. A trauma response is making the decision to do your friggin' best no matter what. A trauma response is deciding intentionally to not carry bitterness. And that's just my proposal. My trauma response. Reaction is bitterness. I had my heart broken. The reaction is bitterness, carrying all that crap. That's the reaction. But the trauma response is greater discernment, less tolerance for BS. That's a trauma That's a trauma response. That's a response. Because when you see it, you don't go near it anymore. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes full sense.
Intentional decision making is intentional. That works in your favor. That doesn't carry bitterness, anger, or hate, or all the negative crap, or even vengeance and whatnot. And a trauma response is also understanding. Response is understanding. I myself am probably the biggest a-hole in the room. And I don't want any competition. Because I don't need to get into a pissing contest because I will win.
Yep.
A trauma reaction is having to prove that I'm the biggest a-hole. A trauma response is knowing I'm the biggest a-hole and I don't need competition. Okay?
Yep.
So I'm not going to provoke anyone to be an a-hole to prove that I am the bigger a-hole. A trauma response is knowing you're an a-hole, but knowing that you don't have to be an a-hole right now.
Fair.
Fair?
Fair enough.
Reaction is just being an a-hole because screw the world and F them. Response is knowing that you're probably the biggest a-hole, but you don't have to act like one right now. Because somebody has to earn the right to see your ass. I'm serious.
No,
I'm not kidding.
I'm laughing at how simple it is.
I just don't run around showing my ass.
I'm laughing at how simple everything really is.
High five, you're welcome.
But we make it so difficult on everything.
Yeah, well, we have to go that way.
Ed.
Yeah, we're gonna. I'll whip around it. I want to go because I want to go that way.
Okay.
I just want to see the town and the town folk and.
Fair.
Yeah.
You're fine.
So, and that's another thing too is, I've decided that my trauma. I'm developing my own trauma response. My reactions are my reaction. My anger, my rage, and all it's not even mine. It's just what happened. The reaction was a reaction. You know, if anybody had the same situation that I had, they'd probably wind up the same thing. You know, whatever. It doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is I'm choosing my
response.
Course of action. I'm choosing my next step, and I am choosing intentionally to be offensively optimistic. I'm choosing to be obnoxiously optimistic. I'm choosing to be unapologetically optimistic. I am choosing to be intuitively optimistic. How about that? And I'm choosing to exist. Asshole. Well, that's obnoxious, isn't it?
Yes.
A-holishly optimistic.
Yes.
I think we need that, though.
You can
overcome anything.
I am just choosing to exist in my own.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just existing in my own.
How can I properly care? So another trauma response. Reaction is comparing yourself to everyone else. And I'm choosing the trauma response to compare myself to who I was yesterday.
Yes.
Unless I want to run a 45-meter whatever, and then I can compare myself to other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as far as character and integrity, you know, my integrity will not allow me to claim any sort of disorder. Because every time I've heard of a disorder and what it comes with and the symptoms of it and the things about it.
A disorder is trying to put yourself into somebody else's order. That is disorder.
Ooh.
We are not under disorder or disabilities. We are just trying to put ourselves in somebody else's abilities and order. That is not how we were made.
So basically a disorder is being a fish and thinking you should be a monkey and being judged and being beat up.
Yes.
And then thinking
a fish won't live in a bird cage. Don't put a fish in a bird cage. It will not survive. You put a fish in a pond, it'll grow to fucking a whale.
And you can't put a bird in the middle of underneath the water either.
Yeah, you can't keep a bird underwater. It'll drown.
And some people are right. Yeah. So everybody, I have also come to the realization that everybody is always being their authentic self. But this is their authentic self as they look through the world as they currently see it.
Okay, can we go to...
I hate that word, authentic self.
No. Can we go to the word weird?
Punch bug blue, no punch bug.
That hurt.
I did not. Did
I got a bruise there.
Oh. It's from the last time I beat you.
No. So can we go to the word weird?
Weird.
Okay. When I say weird, what do you think?
Weird? Well, you've already programmed me to think that in control of your own fate. So, but typically weird is like off, just like odd, not correct, out of place.
Yes.
Doesn't belong.
Yes. So
a nuisance.
Back
sort of.
Back when the...
Oh, I get to parallel
No.
park. What?
Walgreens. Thorpe's isn't open anymore.
Oh.
Right? Remember?
I do know.
So weird.
I just wanted to parallel park.
No.
I wanted to parallel park.
Parallel park right there.
I want a parallel park right there.
Anyway.
So weird.
But weird. Weird used to mean,
Sorry.
back when it came out, it used to mean in control of your own fate. That's where it comes in.
So that's
as
what it actually
the weird
means?
sisters. I can't remember where it came from originally. I'd have to look it up again.
All right.
I'm yelling because the engine was
anyway,
loud.
That's our wisdom of 22 minutes
Be
of
weird.
wisdom.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
Follow your destiny.
Be
That's
unique.
it.
And you're special and unique just like everyone else. Have fun. Bye-bye.